Hello everybody, this is John and welcome to John's Long Box. Today we're looking at Wonder Woman number 1. This is not the original Golden Age version, this is the Bronze Age version from 1987. This was the reboot. This was the second Wonder Woman number 1 comic. The first being coming out in the 40s. Alright, a little bit of backstory on Wonder Woman. She was created by William Malston, a psychologist who also invented the lie detector. He and his wife wanted to create a comic book character for girls. They based her on early feminist theories, and then they also had a girlfriend, so they were like a threesome, and they all together, the three of them, made this Wonder Woman, and he was very into fetish bondage. And matter of fact, if you look up some of the early Wonder Woman stuff, you can see her getting tied up and winking at the reader. In fact, one of her early powers was if she was ever tied up by a man, she would lose her abilities. That was her original weakness. Okay, and then she debuted in All-Star Comics 8. I always forget that. All-Star Comics 8, and then she was given into Sensation Comics, and then eventually her own comic, Wonder Woman. She was a founding member of the Justice League, and she's been in continuous publication with minor bumps since the 42, I think. Yeah, since 1942. So in the Golden Age, she was just, superhero girl, came from this island and was helping fight in World War II. And then later on, during the Silver Age, she was kind of like changed a little bit. So there's kind of like a little bit of argument, and I'm not going to pick a side whether or not this is the third variation of this character or not. But the first one, she was just superhero girl. She came to America to help fight the Nazis, and she took the name Diana Prince. Then the Silver Age, she was sculpted from clay and given powers by the gods. And again, she was Diana Prince, and she was a little bit more attached to mythology. Her mother's hair was changed to blonde, just little differences. And that ran up until 87, and then this version came out. And this, they totally changed the origin, and we'll go through it as we go through the comic itself. So, see, Potter, I forget the name, Potter, Perez, and David and Patterson. This is George Perez. This is like one of his magnum opuses. Look at this cover. He loves putting as many people and things as possible in the drawing, and it's a wraparound cover. So here we have the rest. This is Hippolyta. This is his mother. This is the mythological story of her being overtaken by Hercules. Hercules wasn't the nice guy that we always imagine him being, and his Ares, god of war, and I forget who that is. I think it's Circe. In the ominous cave, Wonder Woman as a daughter, as a little girl. So here we go. Let's look at the comic proper. And this is a treat for me because I'm not even exaggerating. I haven't opened this comic since 1987. I read it. I was getting a million comics a week. I didn't really reread it too much, and this was phenomenal. I think George Perez stayed on for like 60 issues or so, which is about 5 years before handing it off. And then each team was just good. I collected this, I think, up until its cancellation. It was just a really, really good series. So here we go. All the female goddesses gave her the powers in this version. But let's take a look. So here we have George Perez talking about why he wanted to write this, and Wonder Woman was in need of a reboot. I think the last issue of her other comic, she was fighting like flying pink elephants. 1986. Okay. That says 87 on the cover. Oh well. Oh, that's right, because the dates are always a little bit in advance. That's to tell you when to return the comic. So, Comics Code Authority. This was a newsprint comic. Okay. So here, look at this wonderful art. This is going all the way back in prehistory. And, autographed by George Perez. I forgot all about that. his little coloring guide. Wow, I forgot all about that. So here we go. Some wandering Neanderthal goes into the caves, gets cold. The woman cowering. He's pissed off because that's what Neanderthals do. She says the wrong thing. She brings up, Murray's cave is much better than our cave, and boom, he ain't having any of that, and kills her. And then he's like, what did I do? And she was supposed to be the first woman ever killed by a man in violence. And her soul gets pulled up into whatever, the firmament. Look at this splash page. Okay, that's Hermes, always my favorite of the Greek gods. Look at that, just George Perez, just master of detail. Look at that, just phenomenal. So we have Greg Potter script, George Perez pencils, and together they're the co-plotters. Not to be mean, but I kind of forgot all about Greg Potter. This to me has been George Perez's baby, and I don't think he lasted too long, and my fingers are still dirty, constantly dirty. Okay, Bruce Patterson inks. I love Bruce Patterson. He did a great run on a Blue Beetle. This name is very familiar for people who follow my videos. John Costanza, Titania Wood, widow to Wally Wood, and one of my favorite colorists. And Karen Berger, believe it or not, I have a favorite editor. She's one of my favorite editors. She is one of the unsung heroes of comic book history. She's Stan Lee for DC Comics in a way, or more appropriately, Jim Shooter. So here, look at this. This is Olympus. Just look at that artwork, and you can tell the old coloring styles. And the classic newsprint that I just love the smell. And here we have, just typical goddesses bickering, Artemis, Ares yelling and screaming. We got Zeus, we got Hera, Athena. You could tell by the owl. So that must be Ceres, however you say it, Ceres, Apollo. Yep, Apollo with his lyre. If man dies, don't we also die? Because the men worship us. So we agree we must help them. So they find out that Athena's been gathering up all of these souls of women that have been killed by violence by men, and Ares ain't having any of that. So he leaves and whatever. So now I think this is a Persephone, and they all go into this cave in the underworld, in the gloom and everything, and they find this well of souls. These are all I think it was Artemis and Athena and Hestia, I think, have been capturing or savoring or saving rather, or gathering, whatever word you want to use, to all these souls. And to me, this is just wonderfully mythological, and they cascade them into this, up into the clouds, into a portal, and they just rain down onto Themyscira, Paradise Island, Amazon Island. And as they hit the water, they're just born whole and alive in their previous lives. All of these women. Tell me that's not mythology. That's just wonderful mythology. And here they are on this paradise, birds and everything. Daughters, attend me. And then the goddesses are giving them their purpose, telling them why they're here, why they've been selected, and where you both, like, these symbols of our trust. Gaia's girdle, never let it be removed. So Hippolyta, the first of them all, is given the girdle, a belt, whatever you want to call it, of Gaia, the Mother Earth. And of course, Ares. Look at that. She's just, if scheming could have a pose, that this position is called scheming. So that's just pretty cool. So here we have Hercules. or as he's called in Greek mythology, Heracles. Heracles and Hercules in Roman. So I'm going to stick with Heracles. And Heracles, his real name is Alcimedes or something like that. I forget. And Heracles just basically means foe of Hera, because Zeus went and had an affair with some mortal woman, and for some strange reason, Zeus's wife Hera doesn't like it when Zeus goes around sleeping with other women. So she can't take it out on Zeus, so she took it out on Heracles and sent snakes at him when he was a kid. And because he's Zeus, he's son, he's a demigod, he's super powerful, and it's just been going on his whole life. So this is his, if I remember correctly, this is his wife, and they're making him more brutish in the comic, but in mythology he loved his wife, he loved his kids, and as punishment, Hera gave him a madness and he kills. This is just some woman who turns out this isn't his wife. This isn't Megara. This is Heracles. Oh, good, they are using the Greek name. So this is Eris. This is Ares' daughter. Eris means strife. So Eris is sending one. He's got Phobos, Deimos, and Eris. Fear, terror, and strife are some of his children, and they're agents for him. Look at the vulture. That's his bird. Even in mythology, I just love this dark domain, this iron mountain. That's his metal iron from my Edith Hamilton. And just look at this, just riding horses. They're all ready for war. Better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in war, unless that gardener is Samwise Gamgee. Then you want a gardener in a war. So here, Theseus, that's Heracles' cousin. Theseus, inventor of wrestling and killer of the Sphinx. And here they go. They see men. What's going on? Hippolyta stands out in front, and they go to wrestle. And remember, Hercules isn't a wrestler at this point. She's been trained by Athena, and he's ain't having any of that. Rips out a tree. They fight, and then she knocks him down. She's better skilled. Hercules has better raw power. There's nobody gonna beat him when it comes to raw power, but she defeats him with skill, and of course he laughs. Remember, Hercules, his bad stuff was Hera caused the madness in his head. So I forget, because it's literally been 40 years since I looked at this. So I forget if they're making Hercules or Heracles truly a bad guy, or staying more to mythology where he was a good goof with bouts of depression and madness, and bouts of sage wisdom and compassion. So I like Heracles. He's a pretty deep character, and there's a reason why all the Greek heroes trace their lineage to Heracles. So here they are. The men and the women are bonding, having some fun, whatever going on, and here Hercules, and this is right out of mythology. Hercules and Hippolyta get together. I don't know if he spiked her drink. I think in the mythology they actually liked each other, and then he stole the that's right. He was told to get the girdle as one of the 12 laborers. That's right. So now there's war. Everything's burning down. He's got her chained up. Takes the girdle, leaves her to languish in the dungeon, and the goddesses come and forgive her and help her out, tell her what she's got to do. Use the chain, use your instrument of bondage as a weapon. Pretty good metaphor. And here we go. Look at this. You don't even need to read this. Just some good storytelling going on here. Just violence and killing and liberation and more violence and revenge and all the stuff that Greek mythology is known for. Just one big panel. And the women are victorious, otherwise we wouldn't have had a Wonder Woman comic. We capture the girdle. She's like, we're going to kill all the men, and she's just like, not all the men didn't do this. It was a particular group of men, and so now there's a schism forming in this all-girl society. And if I remember correctly, I think she leaves, and that causes like a rift, and there's like another like lost tribe of the Amazonians. So the goddesses get together and basically like, this isn't going the way we want it to, so we're gonna do some Cecil DeMille stuff and split the sea, and you guys are gonna go to an island. And the goddesses tutor them in building, all the wonderful. Again, this is a comic book, but it just fits so well in Greek mythology. I love Greek mythology. I'll geek off on Greek mythology. So, which just reminded me of some Greek mythology comic books that I should break out. So here, they go to this island, and they're given a purpose. There's this portal to hell or whatever, the abyss or Tartarus or whatever, and they're constantly vigilant to watch this. So they have a task. They're given liberation. They're free. They're independent. They're also immortal because they weren't born, so they can't die. They were just, well, they were born, but then their souls were reincarnated, and they live here separate and watchful and vigilant. And she just feels unfulfilled, and she just goes and she carves this out of the clay. She makes an infant, and then she prays and prays and prays. And all the goddess, and then I dropped my comic book. Oh wow, I opened right to the page. That's my superpower. And she prays, and all the goddesses, including Hermes, and the last soul in this well of souls is brought down and given life into the baby. And this is the first child born. This, if you want to call that born, I don't know what other word to describe. Created, born, whatever, arisen, but the first child born on the island, and as far as I know, the only child. And the rest is we know. There's Diana, given the Roman name for the goddess of the hunt, Artemis, and she's trained. She does everything. Looks like Deanna Troi from Next Generation in that picture. But I love this. George Perez is giving them all like a Mediterranean Greek features. He really doing his work. And here I'm seeing the Queen Philippus, called the Queen Philippus, was in the movie. I think it was played by Robin Wright. And here all this stuff is going on. What's going on? I kind of forget. They're looking for, Deanna was looking for a purpose. So they decide somebody's going to go to the patriarch's world, the outside world, and learn and be their ambassador. So they have the classic contest, the skills, doing all this stuff, and she's rolling the rock, which begs the question, are they all as powerful as Wonder Woman? And then she's given these the silver bracelets, and she takes off her mask, and it's Diana. She was forbidden to do this because the queen is being that she's the only child, she's the only baby. Everybody in the city is overprotective of her. Everybody else is, I don't know, hundreds of years old, if not thousands of years old at this point, and she's what, 19, 18? So of course they're protective of her. So they forbid her from doing this. So now she won, they can't take it back, and they're teaching her the bullets and bracelets trick. I just love this image right here, this ancient Greek woman holding a gun, and boom, boom, she's deflecting the bullets, and then they go and open up the vault. And at this point, I don't think she has the lasso. I think the lasso is made from the golden girdle of Gaia herself. So here she is given all of her attributes: the costume, an axe, a shield, a helmet. So a whole bunch of stuff. And then next issue we introduce Steve Trevor. Now you can see the cover. Steve Trevor, he was coming to bomb. In the original story, Steve Trevor was crash landed there, and I think that's what the movie did. But in this version, Ares is tricking him, and he's going to drop a bomb on Themyscira, and Wonder Woman saves him. And they make him older, and they kind of cut out the romance. He actually has a romance with and marries Etta Candy in this version. In the year previous version, Etta Candy was the goofy, chubby friend of. That was like a big comic book trope. Is all the superheroes had a goofy, silly sidekick. Green Lantern had Dobie Dinkles. Wonder Woman had Etta Candy. Starman. Why can't I remember Starman's? They they had just goofy. The Thunderbolt had Johnny Thunders, which is a good twist because he was goofy, but he was the keeper of the superhero, the Thunderbolt. But anyway, they updated it all, so she is open for a romantic interests in this version because Steve Trevor was kind of taken out of the equation, and they introduced a few and made you wonder, is this going to be it? This not going to be it? And she had a few that were interesting, so I really do like this updated version. She was, of course, the origin was changed, so now that nowadays I don't even know because I kind of stopped getting modern comics, but she was changed into being Zeus and Hippolyta's biological daughter, and then because of that she evolved into godhood. Then Hippolyta, they turned out that this island is outside of time and space, so Hippolyta went into man's world and became the Golden Age Wonder Woman. So you can't talk about anything DC without bringing up the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Crisis on Infinite Earths was a 12-issue series written by Marv Wolfman, drawn by George Perez. At the time, it was a milestone. Its purpose was to, I guess, make DC sell more comics. In that case, it worked because it got me into reading DC Comics. Before the Crisis, I wouldn't touch DC Comics with a 10-foot pole, but after, because you could see, look at this quality. This is George Perez. You look at the Teen Titans. So it got me into DC, but its purpose was to streamline the DC universe and make it more accessible for comic fans. And in that sense, the Crisis on Infinite Earths failed miserably because it just made everything so confused. Everybody remembers that Wonder Woman came out in World War II, and now they're saying it never happened. So John Byrne, who took over, said that, yeah, the Golden Age Wonder Woman was Hippolyta, and she was the founding member of the Justice Society and all that stuff. So nowadays, there's no reason for a Crisis Infinite Earth. Everybody's so used to multiple dimensions and different timeline stuff to the point where I don't want to hear your multiple timelines. To me, that's just a crutch. But that's a whole other thing. Let's get back to this Wonder Woman. This is excellent. This is a truly great, and it really gives Wonder Woman her own sphere of influence. She's a superhero, she's a politician, and she's Greek mythology. She was tangentially married with the Greek myths before this, but this placed her firmly in the Greek mythology. You couldn't just like you can't separate Krypton from Superman, or you can't separate Gotham from Batman. You cannot separate Greek mythology from this version of Wonder Woman. And this, to me, is my favorite version of Wonder Woman. It's so good. And I could remember, even though I don't remember each panel, but even though I haven't read this comic since I must have opened it up when I got the autograph, but obviously, I remember this so well. I remember the story. I remember what happened. And I remember the first 20 or so issues before I kind of got too many comics and, what's the word, went diluted. But it's so good. It is worth reading. I think it stands together. It stands the test of time is what I meant to say. Good stuff. And you could get this collected. And I recommend it. It's just good. Like I said, it was born out of politics, but it's intelligent. It doesn't insult it's not preachy. It makes logical sense. You can't deny that there are, throughout history, women were getting murdered and treated misfairly, and then there needed to be some sort of super heroic answer to that. It makes sense, but it's not preaching. It's not insulting. What I like about her, like Hippolyta, she was the one that was victimized by Hercules, and she's just like, no, we're not gonna blame everybody for the actions of individuals. Everybody has a right to be judged on their own merits. Just wonderful comic. But I'm pontificating, and you don't come here to hear me pontificate. You hear me to geek out about comics. So anyway, Good stuff. Good stuff. Please like, please subscribe, and get the Bruce Patterson Blue Beetle comics. I forgot about them. I got to dig them out now and showcase them. Those were so much fun. All right. See you around. Bye-bye.